In this last retouching step, we're going to be looking at her lips. So basically what we want to do is enhance that color of her lips. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. I'll show you a couple quick ones. One is simply to create a new layer. We'll call this lipstick or whatever you want to call it. With the brush tool selected, and then pressing I on the keyboard, or with the brush tool selected, and then pressing the Option key, select the color of her lipstick. You don't want to do something completely different because it won't look that natural. But now we have this lipstick color selected, and maybe you do want to make it a little bit more saturated, a little bit darker, maybe a little bit brighter. Move your selection to the right a little bit just to make it a little bit more saturated, and click OK. So now what we want to do is actually just paint over our lips. Make sure we have our new layer. I don't know why that got deleted. I accidentally undid that. Lipstick. And so we're just going to paint over. Now this is going to look pretty funky. We can actually set our opacity all the way up to 100%. We're just painting over everything. Maybe towards the edges, it probably is a better idea to have a lower opacity brush, lower flow, so that the lipstick kind of blends a little bit more as it would naturally do on the edges. Now the problem with this is we aren't using a layer mask, so we can't really undo this that easily. You can use an eraser, but obviously this looks stupid. This is terrible. What we want to do is change the blend mode to soft light, and now we can adjust the opacity depending on how strong you want this lipstick to appear. So just a little bit of an enhancement, maybe 25% or something like that looks a little bit better. So you don't want to go crazy, right? You just want it to enhance it a little bit. You can also do specific dodging and burning to the lips to make things a little bit pronounced as well. This is something that you would, again, use another dodge and burn layer to do. You could also do that on the original layers as well if you want, but highlighting the lighter parts, darkening the darker parts. So that's one method. Another one is using a similar technique that we've been using. Add a new adjustment layer for color balance. Okay, so now we're just looking at our lips, but in the midtones, let's just adjust our sliders until our lips get to a color we want. So maybe we do want it to be a little bit more magenta, a little bit deeper red. Again, we're going to invert this mask. So selecting the white mask, Command I to invert it. We're going to paint on. This time, let's put our opacity at 50. And this way, we're not just brushing like one color over the lips and giving it sort of like a uniform color, which doesn't necessarily look that natural. We're kind of using the color of her lips as it is and just adjusting the color to make it brighter or darker or a different color. So that looks, again, you go too far, you bring it back with the opacity, right? So dropping the opacity to 25. Maybe you play around with the colors again. Maybe it was a little too much. You can also go into your shadows. Make the shadows a little bit more red. Maybe the highlights. Maybe you want to make the highlights a little yellow, a little blue. Playing around with whatever you think looks more natural with these colors. Turn this on and off. Pretty subtle, but a lot more natural than the other way, I think anyways. Even though if you drop that opacity, it can look pretty natural this way too. So I think by now you kind of can understand the process for retouching. Whenever you want to enhance a color, make something brighter or darker, I think by now you can understand that you can add an adjustment layer. You can create a mask. You could change the blend mode. So actually changing the blend mode of this lips layer will also help. So we can bring that opacity up to 50 or something. Maybe a little bit too much. Yeah, I liked it at 25. All of these steps are very similar in how you do it. but now you know the steps. Pretty cool. Okay, so again, here's the after. Let's turn off all of our layers and just go step by step, show you what you've done. So here we started with this image. We removed some blemishes, softened that skin. That did a lot. We removed the bags under the eyes. We sharpened those eyes, enhanced the eye color. These are the bags right here. We dodged and burned the skin to make it a little bit more contrasty. And then we added some lipstick. I'm going to delete this one. So I'm actually going to save this file as a final so you can see it and see the different layers that I added and play around with them yourself too. Thanks so much for watching. We still got a little bit more in this section, including the liquify tools that are going to maybe blow your mind. All right, see you then.